This episode is sponsored by the War for the Tower podcast. Jeff says, "We tell you all the time that you should listen to War for the Tower, so do it already. Check it out. We've got a princess with a hairpin that turns into a sword. We've got a flying drow elf lady with freaky mind powers. We got a friendly maintenance robot, many other functions. Gunslingers, monkey men, and wizards, oh my. It's the War for the Tower, an actual play, and it totally fucking rules. warforthetower.com or search War for the Tower on your podcatcher." This is an Unspoiled Network podcast. This is Unspoiled, covering Doctor Who, Season 5, Episode 8, The Hungry Earth. In this episode, there are people getting sucked into weird pods where they get dissected under the earth. And frankly, I didn't care for this at all. I didn't like any of... No. Welcome to Unspoiled. Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Natasha.
I'm Jamie.
Do you hear that right now? It's hailing.
What?
Yep. I just was complaining right before we got started that it has been raining so much, and it was starting to rain again. But now there's like this telltale clicking, and I'm like, nope, that's hail hitting my window. Pretty sure. Well, I was
better watch out for that tornado that's going to follow it, because that's usually the sign.
We get hail here a lot.
Do you?
Yeah, I don't know what that's about, but forgive me, guys, if you start hearing a real weird background noise. That's what that is. So yeah, this episode is just really like, I have often said that one of the creepiest things is being in the ocean with large animals, because you're just like at the whim of something that is like on its own home turf, and you are not. And
that's exactly why I don't go in the ocean.
You know, like I do, and I can deal with it, and I can sort of like compartmentalize it and put it away and not think about it. But this feels like they're coming up into our turf now, but it's turning out to be more their turf in the end. And I don't like that. And I don't appreciate that I'm unsafe on my own ground.
Did you ever see War of the Worlds? Like, I know War of the Worlds was a story, like a book, and it was also like a radio play in the 1930s. But did you ever see the movie that Tom Cruise did? The
Yes,
Spielberg
I did.
one. Now, I have a very strange fear of aliens.
Okay.
In that I don't disbelieve, because I'm not so arrogant as to think that this is the only planet that has life on it. Mm-hmm. And I also believe that if they can make it here, because we're reflexively violent, it will not be good for us. Mm-hmm. And so that movie scared the absolute fuck out of me, because they came out of the ground. And I was like, they were already here. They were already fucking
big
here.
Thing. That there are people who theorize that there are aliens in the ground or in the oceans already.
That scared me worse than anything. Like, I was scared seeing the movie Signs. That's like really freaked me out, just because it was so suspenseful. You don't see anything other than like a hand or whatever for a while, and that kind of suspense really gets me. I love that kind of scary movie. Plus, then there's these crazy, scary, tall aliens, and I was like, oh my god! I was totally with Joaquin Phoenix in that movie, of like running out of the room when I saw it. But the idea of the aliens being in the Earth was more terrifying to me than almost anything up to that point, just because, like, how do we know that's not true? I had never considered it, and now I'm freaked out. Somehow this didn't scare me, I think because it's Doctor Who, but...
Right. Yeah, there's a whole category of, like, YouTube videos of people who believe they've seen UFOs coming out of the ocean.
Okay.
things like this. So
as I say derisively after just saying like, I believe that why not?
Yeah, it seems like the theory there is that like they came down a while ago and just sort of parked down there and have been doing a lot of like investigating of our planet in areas that even we don't know anything about.
Sure.
And I'm like, I guess. I mean, we sure don't know much, so I don't see why not. But
did you know that octopus DNA does not have anything in common with any other DNA of anything else on the planet?
Yeah, I think I do remember hearing that.
So realistically, you could maybe surmise that octopi are aliens. They're very smart.
Or that maybe we just don't know about the DNA of a lot of things.
Well, that's true. But I think they've compared it to a lot of things that they've been able to get access to in the deep parts of the ocean. Mm-hmm. There's just nothing else so far that they have found on the planet that is like the DNA that an octopus has. Like, I think even squids are different from octopi.
Yeah.
Could be wrong about that. But I just found that really fascinating. Like, well, yeah, they're probably aliens. Look at what they can do. They can change color. They can change shape.
Perfect timing as we're talking about this freaky thing. I just got a text from Rashawn that says, "This has been the weirdest week ever, and I've been in a cult, so I know what I'm talking about."
I love to remind people that, you remember that time that Rashawn told that story about how she accidentally ended up in a cult?
Have you listened to that on Sober where she goes into more detail about what happened?
I don't think so. I think I missed that one.
I don't even remember which one it was because the subject of the Unsober was not cults. But she gets like more into the actual, and it's amazing. Like somebody should make a movie out of that portion of her life.
Oh my God.
Anyway, okay, so we are in Wales again. It's
yes,
2020.
Please somebody tell me how to say this town's name.
Let's take a look at it again.
It's spelled CWMTAFF. And in my experience with Welsh people, the FF has a D sound. No, a TH sound. Like Griffith. But what's the rest of it?
What?
There's no vowels.
Why do they even use the same alphabet?
I don't
Just
know.
pick new letters.
Wales is weird. Somebody tell me how to say it.
Pronounced. Swim tough pronunciation.
Swim tough. I'm telling you, those two F's have a TH sound. Guarantee it.
Welcome to Swim Tough. There's like Welsh place, like several videos, but they're like a minute long. Why do you need a full minute to tell me this? Oh, it's just telling me how to say like the different syllables of it. I want to hear the whole name.
I wonder if Siri can tell me. I don't know how to ask it because I don't know how to say it.
How do I pronounce swim tough? Yep. I'm trying to find Wales is a bilingual. Thank you. I know it's bilingual. You're not helping here, guys. Okay, so FF is pronounced off pronounced as an F as an English off is according to this. DD is pronounced TH.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, swim taff, clearly. I think I got it. CWM means valley. Coombe. CWM is pronounced coombe.
Coomtough.
Yeah, coomtough.
Okay.
All right. Well, I hope you guys are happy. This begins with a snapshot of this guy's life who is trying to teach his son who has dyslexia to read. And it's a nice little bit because we're given a reason to like give a shit about this dude. This guy, this actor, looks extremely familiar to me. I think I've seen him in some comedy. I couldn't place him. But I really liked this opening because it felt like we're giving you a reason to care about this guy that does not feel extremely hokey. Mm-hmm. You know, because there are many attempts to do things like this in many different shows. And it can come across as them really laying it on very thick sometimes. And I felt like this was just a really nice little regular moment. It's not, you know, he's just sitting with his kid reading. It's not like a birthday party where he's done something like over the top as a gift. There's nothing like particular about this day that he, as a person looking back at his life, would probably remember before what actually happens to him. And so for me, that makes it a little bit more high impact. I don't know. He was in Gladiator.
Yeah, I'm looking him up now. That might be the only thing that you've seen him in, unless you watched Casualty or...
That's it. Maybe it was Gladiator. I had seen that movie like several times when it came out. I was like obsessed with it. So,
ew.
Yeah, hugely.
I
started like dressing like that queen for a minute with those giant earrings, and I like draped fabric over myself and would pin it in place for dresses and whatnot.
The costuming was beautiful. I just really felt like that movie was trying to be Braveheart. I thought Braveheart was better.
I really like movies where guys beat each other up, so.
Speaking of that, I don't know if you have any interest in watching The Expanse, but there's a character in that show that about 2 seasons in, I was like, oh, Natasha would love him. He's like burly and really loves to beat people up.
Ooh, yeah, I'm here for that.
But he's also like a big softie underneath.
Well, we need that. Can't just be all tough all the time.
Yeah, he's
got to have a bit of a torment.
By far the best character on that show, and my boyfriend has a boy crush on him. But yeah, I guarantee if you ever watch that show, you're gonna love him. I think he's like physically everything your type.
Well, noted. So this dude goes off to work, and then we cut to these people working in this like drilling station, and we've got Nazreen and Tony, who it turns out is the father of this guy's wife.
Yeah.
And they are attempting to like drill further than anyone has ever drilled before because
always
they are
a good plan.
Geologists. Yeah, they delved too greedily and too deep and were not ready for what they awakened there. If only it was just shadow and flame, unfortunately, it's worse. So they get 21 kilometers down, and they do not realize that they have broached a barrier that basically this is being taken as a declaration of war.
Yeah.
By a community that lives in the earth. And they all just assume, I guess, that anything that, like, it's an interesting thing because the doctor, once we, like, see one of these creatures, they turn out to be cold-blooded. And they're living in the center of the earth, and when I thought that, like, they were cold-blooded, I thought that was, like, a coping mechanism for being somewhere really hot. But then when the doctor and Nazreen go down there, it's not hot. Or it doesn't appear to be. Mm-hmm. So I am curious what the revelation is going to be there, because the doctor seems surprised by that also.
That it's not hot down there?
Yeah, when she says that, he's like, oh, that is interesting, isn't it?
Because the cold-blooded thing, I think, is because they're kind of reptilian.
But, I mean, reptiles deal well in deserts.
Yes.
Because they don't...
it wasn't molten down there. They were expecting it being, like, closer to a molten heat.
But it's not even, like, warm, it doesn't seem like.
Well, it's not cold.
She's got her, like, fleece vest thing on.
Well, that's just because they're filming in Cardiff.
No, that's fair. But yeah, they have this moment where he gives her a hug about since they've reached their like 21 kilometers and is very excited. And they have this like moment between them. And it's really cute because later it turns out like they're into each other and they have just like never shared that with one another. And I didn't feel like this was like a huge loaded moment of sexual tension or anything. But finding out later that they are actually like kind of into each other, I thought that was a cute detail. I liked the way it was handled too. So in comes Mo, as his name is. He deserves better. And Mo is taking over for the evening. Apparently his job is pretty much just keeping an eye on everything and making sure nothing explodes. He doesn't seem to have much to do. And he is chilling, watching these monitors, and pulls out books and whatnot and is getting ready to just have a nice evening in front of some monitors reading a book. And all of a sudden things begin to shake.
But the book he pulled out is the book he was trying to teach his kid to read, which is a child's book.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is. You're right. Because he's got a couple books there. But that is the one that he opens.
Yeah.
So
the Gruffalo.
So yes, shit starts to shake. The first camera goes out in the storeroom, and he gets a little bit anxious about that, and then tries to bring up the cameras in the other rooms, and all of them begin to go out. And so he starts to get up and figure out what the problem is, explore, and I just really wanted him to like immediately text somebody and be like, hey, shit's going weird. You might want to get down here. But he is determined to try and handle this on his own. He leaves the building. We see him out in this like courtyard. Well, I guess it's not, because later when the doctor comes in, it's still in the building. It looked like it was outside to me.
It's just in a big room. It's the, okay. This says it's the storeroom, so it's just like a big, like sort of warehouse room.
Gotcha.
But because they're underneath the earth a bit, I think, like they might be down a couple levels for this drilling. It's got like a dirt floor.
Oh, are they?
That's how I took it. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're not underneath.
I think not, because there's like a window.
Oh, is there? Okay.
Yeah.
This is around where my DVDs like froze up, and so some of these details are lost to me.
Gotcha. So yeah, there's a bit of steam coming out of this like patch in the ground. And like a goddamned lunatic, he decides to reach his hand down through. Which, I mean, honestly, aliens aside, like, why would you ever do this kind of thing?
I would blow. I would be like, see what happens. Like, where's that coming from? There's steam coming out of something. I'd be like, well, I'm not going to stick my hand in there, but I'm going to, like, try to wave it away.
Oh, God. I'm just picturing you
like
blowing, but you're standing like 4 feet away from the thing, and it is having no effect whatsoever.
No, I would lean down. I'm not an idiot. Just not stupid enough to stick my hand into it.
I just can't. Like, he just sticks his hand, and then when he can't feel anything, he just goes shoulder deep in there. And I'm just like, dude, have some kind of sense of self-preservation here. What are you doing? It makes me so nervous. But anyway, he gets grabbed and yanked under, and then we go to credits. So it's actually a pretty long pre-credits bit.
Yeah.
And I was happy to find that it seems he is, like, pretty quickly, it seems like the doctor is sure that this guy is still alive. Mm-hmm. You find out that he is for sure at the very end, but I kind of thought, this guy got yanked under. We are left unsure whether he's alive or not. And then later on, they're going to like stumble across his body or something like that, you know? And I was really grateful that did not turn out to be the case, because I just did get rather invested in him as a person. I'll admit it, you know? Mm-hmm. That little setup with his son, it really worked. So then we have the arrival of our gang to what they poor children think is Rio. And it turns out that it is just whales again. And the doctor immediately feels that something is wrong with the ground. Mm-hmm. He's just like, this doesn't feel like the way it's supposed to feel. Nobody else seems to be able to tell. He's like talking about this and looking at Amy and Rory kind of like, right? And they just they don't know what the hell he's even talking about. Which I found kind of interesting that he's the only one that can tell. I don't know if that is something like about who he, like his ability, or if it's just him like being more observant than most people tend to be, you know?
It might be a little both.
Yeah, maybe. But
it's the way that he's like bouncing on the ground. It's almost like it feels spongy to him. Like it doesn't feel solid.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to send you something. Have you seen that GIF of this guy walking around on quicksand?
No.
This is I accidentally stumbled on it today. I didn't even go looking for it. But it was a perfect match to what we're talking about today. And it is the wildest thing. As kids, for some reason, you are just led to believe that quicksand is just going to be this like hazard that you really need to watch out for in life.
Well, have you seen that meme? There's a meme that says exactly that. I was led to believe that quicksand was going to be more of a problem.
Right. And when you see it in cartoons and movies, it's this immediate thing that begins sucking you down. As it turns out, quicksand is extremely viscous. Like you can walk on it if you don't stand still too long, and it will not you won't begin to sink even kind of. And I'm sending you a link to it's a 20-second long video. Watch this dude walking around. It leaves footprints. It's not like, but it looks like he's walking on the surface of like a bowl of pudding. And the skin of that pudding is just really hard. And he's just not going through it. I just sent it in Skype.
Yeah, it's opening up.
And
Ew! Hold on, I'm going to mute it so I'm not... Oops. Oh, shit. I just... I really wanted to mute it, and instead I hit the wrong button, and now it's something else. Hold on, I got to go back.
Boo.
Okay, here we go.
I'm looking at the location. Morecambe Bay.
You're right. Like, really thick pudding skin. Like, really soft ground.
Oh, wow. Morecambe Bay sounded like something that was going to be in like the Caribbean or something, but it's in northwest England to the south of the Lake District National Park.
Huh.
So, yeah, this was in the UK. But isn't that wild? And you can see when he does stand still a little bit longer, keeps his foot in the same place, he begins to drop into it a bit. But he never really begins to full on sink. It's just more like at the top of a trampoline, where it begins to bend more. It's crazy. So I kind of imagine that what the doctor's feeling when he gets out of the TARDIS is like the preliminary version of this feeling.
That's kind of the way he's acting, yeah.
Yeah, because he's like kind of jumping up and down, bouncing in this way that's like, you know, this is like a trampoline. So yeah,
I just sent it to Jason.
It's crazy,
I need
right?
to share this.
I just love because it's so funny to me that I like found that today of all days after watching this episode, and I just, you know, but anyway, so Amy is pretty preoccupied with the fact that they are not in Rio where they were supposed to be. She really is just like, can we not do this? I would like to go to the luxurious tropical place that we had all intended. But the doctor is just, you know, immediately distracted the way he do. And I can't blame him. I mean, when the ground feels weird, you got to pay attention. What are you going to do? Walk away from that? It's 2020. I think I said that already, right?
Yep.
But I don't think that registered for me when I was watching this the first time.
It registered for me. I was like, oh, interesting, because this episode came out in 2010. So for them, 10 years in the future, who knew we were going to be going through the coronavirus?
Guys, we really thought that the challenges that would face us in 2020 would be new and interesting. And instead, it's the same old fucking garbage of just human beings being terrible and stupid.
I would honestly welcome the reptilian race of creatures from beneath the earth.
I, for one, welcome our reptilian overlords.
Yes. I don't know if he says they're what they are. He calls them like Homo reptilian, but I don't know if he says what the name of the actual creature. So I don't
remember. Once we get to that spot, I'll double check because I feel like he does, but I can't remember what it is. So yeah, they are he gets again. His attention is sort of distracted by the fact that the
he's very distracted by the bluegrass.
Yeah, the grass in the cemetery is like the wrong color. It's wild looking too. I assume it's just like either spray paint or like patches of fake grass or something. Well,
I've never been to Kentucky, but bluegrass is a real thing in Kentucky. I'm curious because it's not blue, it's just a bluer shade of green.
Right.
So I'm curious if that is something, if that's the way it looks, and they either got some fake or they maybe even got some real bluegrass and just put patches of it around.
It doesn't look the same blue. This looks gray to me.
It looked more like a shade of green that had a hint of blue to it on my television.
Oh, okay.
Not true, it's not blue grass. It's just a more blue-green shade of green.
Okay. Yeah, on mine it looked like gray, almost like it was dead at first. Was
no, it didn't look like that on my 4K TV.
Ooh. Ooh. There's a moment here where they spot themselves waving. Mm-hmm. I don't know what to make of this, and they don't seem like the doctor gives them a line about how people are nostalgic and come back to places that feels like bullshit.
I don't know without. I mean, the only way I would be able to spoil that is to talk about future stuff, but I think what he's saying is that they're they knew that they experienced this, and so when they got to that date, they decided to pop by and wave hello, knowing that this is when they would show up in this town, because for them, they're in 2020, but for them it's still 2010. Right. So 10 years later, they're like, wouldn't it be cute if we just went to the town but kept our distance and just waved to ourselves?
I would never want to do that.
What
it just seems so much could go wrong from doing that, you know?
And the doctor has rules about not interfering in your own timeline. So even though they're not interfering necessarily, they could, because they're going back to a time where they know they were.
Right.
Doesn't it, in some time travel, creates a paradox?
I would think so. I mean, I think that was why I thought it was bullshit, was that he seemed so cavalier about the fact that they were doing this.
Yeah, he does seem so not concerned when the established rules of this show have been you don't go back into your own timeline. So I know that it's a technicality. What the show has said is, I can't take you back to 10 minutes ago because that's your own timeline. I can't go back into my own timeline. You can't go back into your timeline. It creates a mess. So this is technically different, but it still could cause problems.
Well,
you would think, but apparently not in this episode.
So they are walking through this graveyard, and Rory gets distracted because he notices that Amy has her engagement ring on. To which she's like, well, yeah, I mean, I thought you liked when I wore it. What's the matter with you? And he is like, dude, you could lose it. And like, he told us he could take us home, but he couldn't even get us to Rio. I'm not real confident that should you lose it in a different time, we will ever be able to come back and get that shit back. It was expensive. Why don't we leave it in the TARDIS? And if anything happens, we don't have to worry about you losing it. And as it turns out, she does get abducted by a race that seems like very interested in doing terrible things. So maybe he was onto something there. Because I wouldn't be surprised if they had taken all of her jewelry off and like put it somewhere, you know?
I like that Rory is pointing out that he can't seem to get us anywhere he says he's going to. So we don't even know if he's going to be able to get us home when he said.
Yep. Amen, Rory. Yeah, he's paying attention to the shit that matters, man. Because this is what I've been saying, you know, when he was saying that he could get her back in time for her wedding night. And, like, as it turned out, he could. But I was dubious, as you all know, that he was going to be able to pull that off.
Well, he could that one time.
Right. And, like, yeah.
But he went back on his own-ish. Like, you know, he popped into Rory's stag party. Where was Amy?
True. Yeah, that is true.
Maybe he left her on a beach somewhere and did a little, I'm going to pop over here and, like, get Rory. So he goes back to the TARDIS to put it where it needs to go and is going to catch them up. And what winds up happening is that they get separated, and he, when he comes out of the TARDIS, is mistaken for a cop. Because I guess this woman thinks that this is just a box that produces policemen. I don't know what she was thinking. She says something like, what is this, like a mobile unit or something?
Yeah. And I was like...
I don't know if it says police box, but I don't know if she... I don't know who she called.
There's no car parked. Yeah. Like, I don't know what... But
Small town, I don't know.
So the doctor is like going right into this, what do you call it? I don't know what to call this, like drilling base.
What does he call it?
Mining base? I don't know. Drill house. And is immediately just doing the thing that he does, which is, yeah, you don't know who I am or what I'm doing here. I'm going to ask all of the questions and be extremely demanding of your attention and your information and your time. Meanwhile, poor Rory is being brought to a grave in which there had been a body, and now that body and the coffin and everything are gone, despite the fact that the earth on top was not disturbed at all. Mm-hmm. And the kid, as it turns out, is just like, well, obviously, these graves eat people. I mean, it's pretty obvious.
The sides aren't disturbed, the top isn't disturbed, but the coffin and everything is gone. So, obviously, the graves are eating people. And he quotes Sherlock Holmes, which is interesting since Moffat went on to make a Sherlock show. Mm-hmm. When you've eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth.
Yep. Yeah, I liked that. And poor Rory is just so out of his depth. I love this woman explaining to him what happened. And there's just this long pause and him going, I'm sorry. What? Like, just this long, like, I was waiting for you to continue because I was hoping there would be more to this that would make sense to me, but I'm realizing this is the entirety of your story, and I have nothing to offer. What?
This episode was written by Chris Chibnall, who is the showrunner of Doctor Who now.
Oh, okay.
And also was the creator or showrunner of Broadchurch, which is fucking excellent. And which I will be commissioning for you too.
David Tennant in it, right?
David Tennant and Olivia Colman.
Who's Olivia Colman?
Oscar winner Olivia Colman.
Oh! That's right. I remember you saying that.
One of the most delightful human beings on the planet. That's the first thing I ever saw her in. Well, I guess technically Doctor Who was the first thing I ever saw her in, but I didn't know who she was. So it's the first thing that I recognized, like, oh my god, she's fucking incredible. Yeah, I will be commissioning that for you pretty soon, is my plan.
Yay! I'm excited. Okay, so the Doctor is looking at all of the data and immediately is like, all right, guys, this is real bad. You all need to get out of here. And as he is saying this, the ground, there's like this mist coming out of it again that had not been there like just a minute earlier. Mm-hmm. And when the Doctor turns around and spots that, he's like, it's shifting when it shouldn't be shifting. What shouldn't? And he's just, of course, not answering their questions. The ground, the soil, the earth moving, but how? Why? And he says that this earthquake, because that's what they're theorizing it is, he says that it's only happening under this room. I guess he knows that from looking at the data on the screen, right? And then all of these like little openings begin to appear in the cement. And the dude, he goes down and seems to hurt himself. And the Doctor is trying to get Amy to just hurry on and go, but she can't leave this guy to his fate, I guess. And so tries to help. And in doing so, gets sucked down into the ground. And she says something about how something has a hold of her, like it's pulling on her. And he tries to tell her to stay calm, keep holding on to his hand, just overall is like treating this as if it's regular quicksand in the way that he's saying not to struggle and whatnot. But whatever it is, it's making it hard for her to even continue to hold on. And they have to go and shut off the drill, but it takes a long time for it to power down. So by the time they power it down, she has been pulled underneath. And this is some pretty good acting on Matt Smith's part. You know, his like grief at her being taken under, I thought was well done. It felt genuine and not like melodramatic. Like, I feel like there are times, not just on this show, but on a lot of shows where there's like, you get the impression they want you to believe that this major character just died. And it's like, I'm not an idiot. I know they're not dead, but I also know that somebody was trying to help and now they've been like rendered useless. And the person they were trying to help has been put into an impossibly dangerous situation. And your reaction to her being pulled under the ground would still be one of anger and terror. Just because she's not dead, it doesn't, but we don't have to play it like he's behaving as if she just died in front of his eyes. You know, I feel like there's a real balance there that is done well in this scene and can really be done not well a lot of the time. Meanwhile, poor Rory is in this fucking grave, not knowing that his fiancée has just been sucked under by the mole people. And he is trying to help, but not really being like super useful. And it's the kid that comes up with the ideas, pretty much. And the Doctor, he makes me so mad. He does that thing that he does. He says bioprogramming. Oh, clever. You use biosignals to resonate the internal molecular structure of natural objects. It's mainly used in engineering and construction, mostly jungle planets, but that's way in the future and not here. What's it doing here? And they interrupt and are like, did you say jungle planets? You're not making any sense. And he says, excuse me, I'm making perfect sense. You're just not keeping up. Sir, I'm going to need you to look at the information that you have provided them so far, which is nothing, and recognize that, of course, they are not keeping up because you get off on not telling people things. Let's be honest. It's like a drug to you. All right? you're not keeping up. Whose fault is that? If they're not keeping up and you're the only person with any of this information in the room, whose fault is that? I'm just saying. So, and I have to say that Nasreen is just like, she doesn't take offense to this. She just kind of goes, oh, really? And crosses her arms in this way that's like, well, smart ass, go ahead. And I really enjoyed her reaction to him. I felt like it was as good a reaction as he could ask for under the circumstances, considering the way that he was just talking to them. Yeah. And then as they start to ask questions, he's like, no, shut up. And I was like, oh, man, I would kill him.
But he was hearing something they weren't hearing.
Yes. As it turns out, there is still drilling happening. And that is alarming. He can still hear it. And he knows that means that whatever it is that's drilling is pretty close now. It's 12 minutes away, I think is the number that he comes up with.
9, I think.
9?
Isn't it 9 minutes?
Oh, shit. Okay. I thought it was more than that.
Maybe it was 12.
So he's uniting all the data. We are here. This is your drill hole, 21 kilometers. Well done. He's like congratulating them. And Nasreen genuinely again says, thank you. It's taken us a long time. I love the fact that she's like, as infuriating as he's being, when he takes the moment to say, well done, she doesn't like get salty about it. She's like, no, yeah, it is well done, right? Like, we really have worked hard on this. It's like, oh, Nasreen, I like you. She
sort of takes everything in stride. I would like to, I didn't point out when you first talked about him meeting them where they're like, who are you? And he just, or whatever, when they first come in and are like, what are you doing here? And he's like, hello! He's just so cheerful. I love it.
Oh, God. And yeah, she talks about the minerals that were found in the grass. And she thought, like, this was something that they should investigate. But the doctor says they weren't minerals that were, like, X marking the spot saying dig here. They were saying stay away. Because while you've been drilling down, something else has been drilling up. And, I mean, maybe just, like, say a sign that, put a sign up that says stay away. Don't put really interesting data on the surface that will definitely get their attention because it hasn't been seen here in like millions of years. But
you also glossed over or skipped over that he was eating the grass, and Amy's like, have you always been this disgusting? And he was like, no, it's new.
I forgot that line. Yeah, that was pretty funny. So yeah, he goes and says that noise isn't a drill, it's transport. 3 of them 30 kilometers down, should be here in quite soon. 12 minutes. Yeah, he says 12 minutes here. Okay. I think it might be 9 later once he finally catches up with Rory. So yeah, they begin to pack up all of their stuff. There's a moment where like Nasreen and Tony just stare at each other before they like begin moving really quickly and following his instructions. And as they go outside, there's this like red light that goes streaking through the sky. And the doctor has a pretty intense reaction to it and immediately knows what's going on and pulls a fucking slingshot out of his pocket. Mm-hmm. That he just, I guess, has. Mm-hmm. Which, okay.
He's a giant Dennis the Menace.
I really want him to get a beanie propeller.
Give him time. He does like to wear funny things.
So yeah, he shoots a stone up and it hits this like barrier. And then he pulls out the sonic screwdriver, to which I'm like, why didn't you just use that to begin with? Why did you have a slingshot?
To demonstrate that they're under a dome now.
You could do that with the sonic screwdriver, though.
But it's not as flashy. It's just flashy in a different way. It's not as cute.
I guess. All right.
Why did the 10th Doctor have a pair of 3D glasses that he needed to see all of the, like... Oh, what was it called? The, like, void dust.
I don't remember what you're talking about.
In the episode where Rose gets trapped over at the other side, he puts on... They're in Torchwood, and he's in their office, and he's sitting at a desk wearing 3D glasses. The little red and blue, old-timey 3D glasses, and has his feet up on the desk. And it's because with the 3D glasses, he can see all the void dust that has come through with the Dalek sphere. But where did he get those glasses?
Wow,
Were they just in his
Jamie,
pocket?
I cannot tell you how few bells are ringing as you're explaining this to me. I honestly have no memory of any of what you're talking about.
Well, I'm going to find you a picture.
Okay.
10th Doctor.
So this is when Rory comes out and says, Doctor, something's going on. The graves are eating people. And the Doctor says, not now. And I'm like, yeah, but listen to what he's saying. I feel like you should be able to tell that's very relevant. But nevertheless. And when Rory says that maybe they could use the TARDIS to get the hell out of here, the Doctor says those energy patterns would play havoc with the circuits with a bit of time maybe, but we've only got 9.5 minutes. And I don't know what, like, difference, because he says, you know, with a bit of time, I don't know what difference that would make if that's just, like, I could put, like, some protective something in place that wouldn't ruin the circuits. But, anyway, this is when we see Amy being scanned under the ground. And it's a real weird moment. She's unconscious. The light is bright green that's like scanning over her. And she's covered in dirt. And there's no like indicator yet what these creatures are or what they want with her. It's just letting us know that somebody has got her and that she seems to be still alive. Mm-hmm. The Doctor, meanwhile, sort of like takes this kid under his wing. And I feel like that results in the Doctor feeling a bit guiltier even than usual when the kid winds up disappearing a little bit later. He winds up being like alive, but then gets taken also. But initially there's this like real guilt, I feel, on his face. Oh yeah, there he is. Look at him with that. What a doof. Yep, I forgot all about it.
In the article that I sent also, it shows like he had Rose put them on and she looked at him and he was like weaving around, like showing all the void dust around him because they've been through the void to go, because they went to that other universe. And so when she put them on, she could see them around him. He could see them around her. So there's a screen cap in there of that too, in case you wanted to know what I was talking about.
Okay. Yeah,
Sorry, guys. Everybody else remembers.
Do they?
I guarantee that they do. I'll put a poll up when you post this episode. Did you remember about the void dust?
The void dust. Oh, here comes like my favorite moment.
Okay.
I really liked this. So we've got what's her name? Ambrose, which I thought was a man's name. I had never known that it was like it could be for either.
Same.
But yeah, this is what's his face's wife, and she has gone to get a bunch of weapons. She's got like baseball bats and whatever,
and a gun, some kind of gun. Bat.
Yeah, I think it's a staple gun or something. Like
I thought maybe it was a taser.
Maybe, yeah. But the doctor says, no weapons. That's not the way I do things. And she said, well, you said we're supposed to be defending ourselves. And he says, Ambrose, you're better than this. I'm asking nicely. Put them away. Now, first of all, I will say, I think it's very unreasonable for him to say you're better than this, as if there's any reason to think getting weapons is a bad idea right now. You don't know what's coming out. He hasn't told you anything about it. You know, like, that feels unreasonable, and like he's insinuating something about her as a person here that I don't think is fair at all. However, when he says, I'm asking nicely, put them away, he has so much swag in that moment. It was the first time that I have found him attractive.
Interesting.
There's just this look on his face of just like, I am going to smile and be nice about this, but you can tell that I am not to be fucked with in the least. And I don't care that I'm wearing a bow tie. I am not to be fucked with. And there's just something very like low-key threatening about the way he says it to her and the way he smiles at her. And you can see that she felt it when he said it. And I was kind of like, well, shit, all right. I get it a little bit better now. Whether he looks like a foot or not.
He doesn't look like a foot.
He looks a little bit like a foot.
He just has no eyebrows.
He really doesn't. It's so odd. So, yeah, he has the little kid draw a map for him because the kid is like worried that he won't be able to like write because of his dyslexia. But the doctor is really like careful to be just like, you can do other things. It's fine. Mm-hmm. You know, there's plenty of other people who had dyslexia who were extremely creative and intelligent, and doesn't matter.
Yeah, and he brings that up afterwards when Elliot gives him the map. Mm-hmm. He was like, dyslexia didn't stop Einstein or Da Vinci.
Yeah. Yeah, and I liked it. I liked how casual he is about it. He doesn't, like, dwell on it. He just, like, mentions it, you know?
He's not being, like, patronizing about it or, like, overly schmoopy. It's not, like, a after-school special moment. It's just, like, facts are facts. He treats the kid like an
adult. You're schmoopy. No, you're schmoopy. How can I be schmoopy when you're schmoopy?
Okay.
Guys, really insufferable Seinfeld episode.
Is that what you're quoting?
Mm-hmm.
I've only seen most Seinfeld episodes once. I've seen a few of them multiple times, but most of them I've only seen once.
I can't believe that you don't know the Schmoopy Seinfeld episode. Oh my God, it's the best. Jerry is the one that's participating in this behavior, which is what makes it so funny, because he never does that kind of shit. But he's doing this with his girlfriend, and you see the camera like pan to George and Elaine in the background looking at each other like they just want to stab Jerry in the fucking throat every time he starts saying it. And eventually they have to have like an intervention and just be like, dude, you need to stop. We can't stand being around you. This is horrible. Okay. Two-phase plan. First, sensors to detect when something arrives. Second, if it does arrive, I use this to send a sonic pulse through that network of devices which would temporarily incapacitate most things in the universe. So we have the scene where Tony kisses Nazreen. It's pretty great. I really enjoyed that. I love that she says Tony and he just says, like, you didn't know. They're so cute. And is this when, all of the electricity goes out. There's like a kind of an explosion, I guess. And the door seems locked. Which apparently the sonic screwdriver doesn't work on because it doesn't do wood.
Which they established in the first season that we watched. When they were in the Blitz, and it was the two-parter with Are You My Mummy? They were in that hospital, and the doctor couldn't just use this sonic screwdriver to cut a hole in the wall. He was doing it very, very slowly, because he's like, it'll upset the atoms, but it just takes a long time, because it's wood.
I love Rory's response, which is just basically to be like, oh, well, that seems like complete horseshit. Seems like your sonic screwdriver's trash, but cool. Okay. Oh, Rory. Keep being out here, man. Saying what we're all thinking. Appreciate you. So this is when I think they notice that the little boy is gone, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and so when Elliot says, he's talking to the doctor, that's when the doctor tells him says the thing about Einstein and Da Vinci. He's somewhat distracted as well. And the kid's like, I'm going to go get my headphones. The kid doesn't say, I'm going to leave the building to get my headphones. He just says, I'm going to go get my headphones. Doctor's distracted, not really asking the right questions in that moment. And that comes back to bite him later when they realize the kid's gone.
Yeah, I don't know, there was something about his reaction to realizing that it really felt like he was fucked up over it. Like,
yeah,
it bothers him a lot, I think, between the kid and Amy, that he has been like more or less directly involved in two different people disappearing, you know?
And his whole thing is trying to keep everybody safe. And in a moment of distraction, he wasn't really thinking, like, this is a child. I need to ask the appropriate question. Where are your headphones?
Right.
Where are you going? He was distracted by whatever's on that screen. These things coming up from the ground.
And the way the mother's like, who saw him last? And the camera, like, very slowly sort of zeroes in on his face as he says, I did, as he realizes his mistake. And when she says he's out there on his own, I can't believe you let him go. He just, like, kind of opens his mouth and just doesn't say it because he doesn't have it. There's nothing to be said. You know, he fucked up and he knows he did.
Yeah, I like how Matt Smith played that moment. Because
Agreed.
he's not... I like that Matt Smith sort of underplays a lot of things. I think it's as much as I love David Tennant, it's a nice contrast to how David Tennant reacted to things. And just very opposite ways. And I like how understated Matt Smith will be in certain moments because it lends a much heavier gravity.
Yeah, and I feel like it makes me... I think sometimes with the way that Tennant played it, it felt like he was so obnoxious almost at times that I didn't always like buy that he knew everything that he said he did or that he was like as intelligent as he claims he was. And with Matt Smith, the fact that he underplays it really gives this sort of vibe to everything that he is distracted and thinking about something else at the same time as having this conversation. And that feels like somebody who is doing too much at once and whose brain is just like working overtime. And that just really works for me for who the doctor is supposed to be.
It's funny because before I rewatched this season and where I'm up to in the 6th season, my memory of Matt Smith was that he was kind of a Muppet. And I always pictured him in this like very energetic sort of flaily kind of physicality. And then when I was going into this to rewatch it for the first time, that's what I was expecting. And what I got was like, well, he has moments of that. He has a very particular type of energy that he performs this character in.
Right.
But he also is really great about stopping and being understated about certain things in the right moments. Where I feel David Tennant did everything at its like top speed.
Yeah. Definitely.
His anger was at top speed. His sadness was at top speed. His joy was at top speed. Everything was at a 10. No pun intended. And with Matt Smith, it's more modulated. And when he realizes that he fucked up, there's no drama to it.
Yeah.
He's not stage acting. And I love David Tennant. I think David Tennant is a phenomenal actor. But I think there are just a lot of moments in his Doctor Who run where he was just too over the top when he didn't need to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that. And I find that it makes me respect the Doctor more. To, like, when he is distracted, when he isn't giving full answers, I feel more prepared to excuse it because it seems like he has just, like, 16 tabs open that he's looking at simultaneously, you know?
And he also, like, he's still arrogant, but not in the same way.
It doesn't feel the same. Like, I definitely still see it, and I pointed it out just in this episode, but yeah, it doesn't feel...
It's there.
There was something almost, like, mean about it with Tennant's Doctor. I don't know. He
had a tendency of holding it over people. I'm the smartest in the room, and you need to know this. Mm-hmm. And the way that Matt Smith does it is, I'm giving you a bunch of information. I understand that you don't know what the fuck I'm saying, but I'm going to lay it all out anyway. I'll get back to your questions later.
Right.
And so, like, he knows he's the smartest person in the room, but he doesn't lord it over everybody. It feels really weird that I talk shit about David Tennant. It feels wrong in my soul, but I'm sorry. I've made a change. 11 is now my favorite Doctor. It's weird. I'm struggling with this information, you guys. It makes me feel like I'm cheating on my Doctor with a new Doctor. I still love Tennant the most, but if I could meet Matt Smith, I'd probably be so happy.
Yeah, I wonder what else has he done? What else is he in now?
He played Prince Philip in The Crown, the first 2 seasons of The Crown.
Okay.
He was in Terminator Genesis, and I actually enjoyed that movie because, I'm sorry, you just can't go wrong with a Terminator movie. They're always fun. I don't care what anybody says. I actually really liked that one, but what I didn't like was who they got to play John Connor and the fact that they completely underused Matt Smith. He should have been in it more.
Is that the one with Emilia Clarke?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that was like one of the only Terminator movies I really didn't like. The most recent one I actually really enjoyed, even though like it wasn't great. But
I haven't watched it yet. Even when they're not great, I still really, really enjoy them. I just am all in on the Terminator world. I love it. So I'm not biased about it, or I'm not unbiased. I love Terminator movies. I don't care. They're always fun. Matt Smith was sorely underused in that one. And then I know there was some movie he did that was like based on a real guy, a photographer. I saw a trailer for it at one point, and the trailer made me cry because of the bits of his performance I was seeing. I remember turning to my boyfriend and being like, holy shit, Matt Smith is so good. But I can't remember the name of that movie, and I haven't seen it, but I need to track it down. I never went to see it. But he made me cry just in little clips. So he's out there. He's doing stuff. He should work more. He's a very, very good actor.
Shit. I was going to ask something about it. Oh, well, I lost track of what I was going to say. But anyway, this kid is outside being chased by a lizard person through the graveyard. Mm-hmm. And then he gets snatched just as they manage to finally open the door, and he is gone. And it's a really terrible moment of his mother running out into the graveyard and finding his headphones, I think, that are sitting there.
Yeah.
And just like, she gives a pretty good performance here when she just screams, finding this. It's just an awful, like, you know, and the doctor's reaction, realizing like, yeah, he done failed again. So this thing attacks her, and when Tony jumps in to try and help her, it hits him with its tongue.
Yes.
Like a fucking chameleon or a frog. And later on, we see that there's like green veins happening, and it's infected him or it's done something. Mm-hmm. I don't know why it doesn't use this to defend itself against the doctor later, but I guess it's because it knows it's already like imprisoned by the time he goes to take its mask off, and it just is sort of like, well, what's the point now? Yeah. But I was waiting for it. When he goes to take its mask off later, I was like expecting the tongue, and it doesn't happen, and I was surprised.
The movie I was thinking of was called Mapplethorpe.
Mapplethorpe? Never even heard of it. Okay.
Also, he played Charles Manson in something, which I hate. I hate that. It's upsetting. I don't want to see him in that role. And then he's going to be in Morbius, which is I believe, a Marvel movie starring Jared Leto.
Oh, no.
That actually looked pretty great.
Why are we giving Jared Leto work? Can we not?
I don't know. It is what it is. But it actually looked really good. So, not Suicide Squad-y. The trailer, I thought the trailer looked good.
He's just such a gross human being, though.
He really is.
All right, so they capture one, and using a fire extinguisher, lock it in the back of the Meals on Wheels car, and at that moment, the dome that has plunged them into darkness is lifted. And the doctor seems to be pretty certain that that's a reaction to recognizing that they no longer have the upper hand. Now you have one of our people, and we're going to pull back a little bit. And then we see Amy waking up, and it's like she's in a coffin. But it's clear, it's not clear enough for her to see who's out there really, but you can see like the shadow of faces moving around, and she is demanding to know where she is and what they have done to her and yada, yada, yada. And they shush her, and she reacts in exactly the way that I would react. And then they just gas her in order to knock her out again.
That's a good little piece of acting from Karen Gillan too, because she's like indignant, like, don't you shush me.
Yep.
And then as soon as the gas comes, she's like, no, not the gas. Like suddenly she's scared. And I like that because it's a very quick change. Mm-hmm. It's very good.
Oh my God. When the shushing, that's a particular pet peeve of mine. My dad used to shush my mom when she started to get upset.
Oh, no.
And even as a kid, before I understood like the implications of that, my hackles would rise, and it would take everything in me as a child to not like bite my own father's head off in reaction to him doing that. And that stays to this day. So if anybody, like Owen did it to me once when we were first dating, and I had to take a deep breath and calm myself and remind myself he doesn't know what this means to me, and then be like, I need you to know that you can never do that again, because I am not going to be responsible for my reaction, and you won't like it. But you're going to have to find out an alternative way of essentially telling me to calm down, because that's not going to do it. That's going to make me deck you across the face. So just don't.
I've never had a person shush me like that. Remember when I sent you all my little ghost stories? Did I send you my ghost story when I got shushed?
When you got shushed? No, I don't think so.
My aunt and I were playing PlayStation. The game we would always play was Muppet Party Cruise, which was the best game ever. Best game ever. And I was talking, and I just heard very clearly, shh. And so I stopped talking, and I kept playing, and she was like, are you going to finish your sentence? And I was like, you shushed me.
Actually, no, I think you did.
And she was like, I did not shush you. And I was like, I heard it very clear. I mean, we were sitting right next to each other. Mm-hmm. And I was like, it was so clear that you went, shh. And she was like, oh my God.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Somebody was like, excuse me, I'm trying to follow the Muppet Party Cruise.
I'm telling you guys,
with you talking.
Best game ever. I hope they come out with it for the new PlayStation that's going to come out, that's going to be able to play all the old games, because I could play it all day.
There's so many. I found, do you remember that game, the Disney, like Mickey, like going through the castles in the forest and
It's
everything.
like Kingdom Hearts? Is it Kingdom
remember.
Hearts?
There's some
the
weird
word Disney
kingdom
game.
was in it, but
It must have
Hearts.
been. Doesn't it have like all kinds of Disney characters in it?
I don't remember. I just loved it. I played it obsessively, and I was able to actually find it on the iPhone. But it's obviously like just very different now. I was able to find a YouTube video of the original, and when the music started playing, I was like, "Oh my God!" Just one of those nostalgia moments of just being like, "Wow." All right, so this is when the doctor goes and talks to the creature, and he takes her mask off.
Yes.
And he
says, "You are gorgeous."
Yeah. You're
she really is,
and
though.
your mode of transportation is gorgeous. Remnant of a bygone age of planet Earth. And by the way, lovely mode of travel. Geothermal currents projecting you up through a network of tunnels. Gorgeous. Mind if I sit? Yeah, I don't think he does say what they are called. He just says, your people have a friend of mine.
Okay.
And moves right along there.
Does she say it? It says their names in these notes, but I don't know if that's because this is a two-parter and it's said in the next one. Not that it's a spoiler. It doesn't matter.
No, you can just say it. What is it?
They're called Silurians.
Okay.
And I guess this was a creature that was created in old Doctor Who as well. I didn't realize that.
And created and seen, or just like talked about?
I believe so.
Okay.
Cat signal. Let us know.
Right. So yeah, she tries to tell him that she's the last of her species, to which he's like, bitch, don't you try and play that card on me. I know what the fuck that's like, and you ain't it.
Yeah.
So shut up and start again. He asks her name, and she says Alaya. Mm-hmm. And basically the deal is they feel that the surface dwellers declared war.
Yeah.
We were attacked. And she calls them vermin, and that they stole this planet, and yada, 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 usual kind of thing. I love the doctor. Can we not with calling them vermin? They're actually very nice. Mm-hmm. The makeup is amazing.
Yeah. Incredible.
I should mention, like, the close-ups on her really should expose a lot more seams. And really the only thing is right around the eyes and a little bit on the lips, which is kind of unavoidable unless you use a lot of CGI. Mm-hmm. It's really pretty much flawless. It's remarkable.
And even around the eyes, they try to mask it by making her almost like have heavy eyeliner.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and probably like some paint on the inside of her lips a little bit as well, like a lipstick of some kind. Mm-hmm. But,
yeah, it's really incredible makeup work.
Yeah. And the doctor is just like, look, I get your gripe here, but you don't get to control the planet. That's just not how this works. Just because you were here first, you don't just have rights to it. And he says, one tribe of Homo reptilia against 6 billion humans. You've got your work cut out. And she doesn't correct him here, but he gets corrected eventually. He says that there's like, what, maybe like 13 at most or something?
He thinks there's like maybe 12, like a dozen.
Ah, what a goober. So, yeah, he says, tell me where my friend is. And give us back the people who were taken. And she just says, no. And you can see him getting very irritated with this whole situation. There's a moment of him just staring at her. And then he says, I'm not going to let you provoke a war. And when he says that, there's a bit of a shift to her posture, as if she's like, he realizes exactly what she's doing and she doesn't like it. Mm-hmm. She says, the fire of war is already lit. A massacre is due. I will die for my cause. What will you sacrifice for yours? And he just walks away and doesn't answer. And later on, the others, because the doctor goes off with Nasreen, the others go to see her. And she basically is like, one of you is definitely going to kill me. I could even tell you which one of you it is that's going to do it. And as soon as you do that, all bets are off and y'all have set this whole thing in motion. Mm-hmm. But you just can't help yourselves. That's just how you are.
Well, she's not wrong about that.
She ain't, though. I mean, Tony is out here talking about dissecting her and shit. I'm like, yeah. Tony, calm the fuck down.
At first, you have that reaction, which is the correct reaction of like, oh, so it's something new. Let's kill it and open it up and see what's inside. But then we find out that that's exactly what happened to Mo. He's not dead.
Exactly.
But he was opened up so that they could look inside.
Yep. And the fact that Tony, like, I mean, I don't know if Tony has even seen her yet when he says that. But I wonder if he would behave the same way if he, like, after talking to her, if he, like, if her very conscious, humanish sort of look and personality would make any difference to him or not, Right. I don't know. I don't know Tony, really, is what it comes down to. Yeah, so the doctor says that he's going to go below the surface. Nasreen is there. There's this whole thing with them talking about, I can't believe that you're going to negotiate with them. All of this, like, war talk, essentially. And the doctor's like, first of all, they're not monsters and they're not even aliens. They are from here. And they're not evil either. They're just as evil as you all are as regular old human beings.
Earthlians, he calls them.
Yes. And he says, as far as they're concerned, y'all were invading their, like, land. Mm-hmm. So you can kind of see their point here. And Alaya is going to stay up here, and you guys have to behave as the ultimate paragons of the best parts of humanity. Because that is what's going to keep this all above board and work it out in the end, is you guys being on your good behavior. Which makes sense. I liked it.
What do you think the likelihood is that they listen?
I feel like it's not great. I trust Rory because Rory's just a sweet little cinnamon bun.
Yep.
Tony had a pretty bad instinct there with wanting to dissect her. Don't care for that. Honestly, it's Ambrose that worries me the most.
Why?
Because she lost her kid. I mean,
and her husband.
And her husband. Like, she has been affected by this more than anybody and was the one out here grabbing weapons right away and just feels like if anybody is going to do something really shitty, I feel like it's going to be her.
Okay.
So that's my assessment. And Nasreen, like, after his speech, starts clapping. I love it. So yeah, they go to get into the TARDIS and Tony chases her and is just like, gives her a kiss goodbye, tells her to be careful. And she gets on and is, floored by the TARDIS as usual. And Tony goes back to like the bathroom, I guess, and, pulls his shirt open a little bit. And you can see like the damage that was done from this attack. Mm-hmm. So let's see. Okay. Then they go under the ground and, it's a wild and crazy place.
How descriptive of you.
It's just very, I wonder, it's like clearly like a sound stage, but there's like such a distinct ceiling to it, mm-hmm. which is a pretty rare thing.
Yeah.
And I'm just sort of fascinated at seeing like how that was set up, But yeah, he starts to walk away and there's a moment where Nasreen like is just really caught up in looking around her and being like, wow, look, this is insane. How far down are we? How are we not like burning to death? And then she realizes that the doctor's like gone and she just like races to catch up. It's like, oh shit.
Well, and she says, like, I've been working towards this my whole life, and is really looking at, like, there's, like, a bit of a vine with a leaf on it growing under there, and, like, how would that work? There's no sun, and, like, she seems genuinely curious, like, oh my god, this is incredible, and my life's work has been to dig into the earth, and then realizes, like, oh shit, I don't want to be by myself.
Yeah, right? So then we cut to the part I hate the most, which is Mo. And Amy wakes up and she's like locked to this kind of upright stretcher. Mm-hmm. And she turns her head and sees him. And he says, close your eyes and don't struggle. And she says, where am I? Why can't I move my body? And he says they call it decontamination. They did it to me while I was conscious. You're freaking me out now. Did what? Who did? And he says, dissected me. And he like looks down and you see this long cut down the front of him. Like he just was like, you know, an autopsied. Mm-hmm. And he says, here they come. I'm sorry. I wish I could help you. And then this fucking creepy looking reptile doctor with a giant syringe of something starts to come at her. It's like a syringe, scalpel. It's a weird, like it's got blades on the end, but it also looks like it's filled with fluid of some kind. And the doctor and Nazreen are walking around, and he says, probably housing about a dozen of these people, maybe less. And she says, one small tribe, huh? And he says, yeah. She says, maybe a dozen? And he's like, yeah. And then he walks up behind her and sees what she's looking at. And they're basically looking at like an underground Manhattan. Mm-hmm. It's enormous. Maybe I was wrong, and maybe it's like, you know, an entire civilization living beneath the earth, whatever. And that is the end of the episode.
Yep.
So, yeah. Shit.
Apparently, originally, Mo and Amy were scripted to be in their underwear.
I was actually going to say, I'm surprised that they are wearing all of their clothes.
It was deemed to be a little too sexual, I guess, showing probably more on the part of having Karen Gillan be in just her underwear for early evening family show.
I guess. It's just like, it doesn't make a lot of sense for her to be fully dissected clothed right now in her fucking tank top. Like, I don't know. I feel like, I assume that this is going to be stopped before she actually gets dissected. But if we were going to see like the beginnings of it, I would think it would be like, oh, we're going to have to remove your clothes or move them out of the way, which I see happening with scissors, which for me feels way more sexual and more like sexual assaulty, to be fair.
Sure.
But I'm guessing that's not actually how they handled it, probably. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I understand that in theory, it just in practice doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I guess it wasn't too sexual. This was removed as being too adult.
Too adult, I guess I get.
Yeah, them being stripped down to their underwear.
Well.
The visors' different scanning types are reminiscent of the helmets used by the aliens in Predator.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And it says that when Matt Smith moves his hand when looking through the heat scanning glasses, there's the same swish sound heard when the Predator changes scanning type. I'm going to take that as truth because I still have never seen the Predator.
It's pretty fun. I recommend it.
We have had this conversation before.
Oily men, which is not something I'm particularly into, but there it is.
And Matt Smith celebrated his 27th birthday while filming this episode.
Aww. All right, well, I'm going to say hi to some new patrons, which I was not able to do last week.
Sure.
So this week, or these past couple weeks, we have Karen Granados, Maddie Vignialt, Jessica Lepore, Motomoros, Yuting Zhang, Issy Darwint, Katie Barnes, Rebecca Wright, Jordan, Lou Royal, Carlo Carino, Jane Booth, Rowena, Colin Kennedy, Madhuri, Mimi Chatterjee. I think Mimi's been a patron before, though. It's showing her as new, but I don't buy it. And Diva Girl. And these are all of our new people. So welcome to all of you. Thank you very much for being patrons. Make sure you join the Mighty Network. And join the little piece of the internet that is less toxic than most, to be honest. And we are at 88% on the fundraiser, and we are going to be putting off scrapping the fundraiser until after Rashawn and I have covered Westworld Season 3.
Well, that gives quite a bit of time.
Yeah, there's several months ahead of us. I think that won't be done until like the end of August. So we've got some time now. It just worked out that the third season was coming back right when we had this break. So we decided that we both wanted to cover it. So worked out. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to cover that first. And that is a free show that will be available to everybody. And if you haven't listened to the first 2 seasons, you should. I am the unspoiled one for that. Rashawn watches the whole season ahead. Yeah, that's about it. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we wrap?
No, we don't have any new reviews.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
I don't really have anything else.
Well, I really don't like this ending. And I hope that Amy does not get dissected.
Sorry to say. This is it for Karen Gillan.
I feel like that's probably... Is there much blood? There's not much blood on this show, is there?
No, it's a pretty bloodless show.
Yeah.
It's a very PG show.
The closest that we ever got to anything like this was that horrific makeover show that Captain Jack was on, where they were going to like cut body parts off and shit.
Yeah. But we also got him in
his skivvies. Apparently his underwear wasn't too adult.
It wasn't really underwear, though, was it? He just had no shirt? He still had pants on?
I thought that he had no undies on, or maybe no pants on, but...
We didn't see him from the waist down.
Maybe that's what it was. I thought that we saw his butt.
No, we've never seen his butt on the show. It's a children's show.
I thought that we saw his butt. I just fantasized that.
He shows his butt quite a bit. Otherwise, in all of his own social media, he loves to shake his butt at the camera.
Oh, bless him.
Yeah.
All right.
I hope everybody is staying safe out there.
Guys, wash your hands, please.
Yes. We're in a bit of a global crisis, and I don't think there's a single area of the world that hasn't been affected. So everybody take care of yourselves.
Wash your hands. Stay away from other people.
As best as you can, yes. If you have the option of social distancing, fucking do it.
Fucking do it, please, guys. Please.
Yeah. I'm doing it as much as I possibly can.
I'm doing it as much as I always do.
I keep joking that I have been working my whole life towards having to stay at home for 2 weeks straight, and they're just not letting me do it yet.
It really, my life has barely changed at all.
Right.
It's undetectable for me.
Yeah, my friend Diallo said the same thing. He's like, I've been working at home for the last 3 years. Like, this is just business as usual for me.
Mm-hmm. Completely. The only weirdness is asking Owen to pick something up at the grocery store and they don't have any of it because everybody has bought it. And that's about as weird as it's been.
I have gone to several different grocery stores trying to find rice.
Rice. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. That's a real good pantry staple. Lasts a long time, fills you up.
I found some yesterday at Target, but it's like Uncle Ben's boil in a bag rice. No. And I was like, you know what? It'll have to do. Because I seriously, for a week now, have been trying to find rice.
It makes me I've heard that going to ethnic supermarkets.
Yeah, the closest one here is not close.
Yeah.
It's quite far away. And so it's not really an option. And then my friend Alyssa was like, I have a 25-pound bag of rice from Costco. I can just bring you some. And I'm like, cool, next time I see you. Except that we're all supposed to be social distancing and not seeing our friends. So
true.
How am I going to get my pound of rice?
Have her drop it outside your door and just leave.
I have a gift for her from when I went to New Orleans, and I was like, well, we're not doing our like weekly meetings with other managers, so I'll give it to you when I see you.
Yeah,
whenever that might be.
You should leave that outside your door. She comes, drops off the rice, picks up her gift. Done.
Maybe. She
love
just
it.
sent me a text actually that was like, I'm pretty sure we're going to start being like closing everything down this weekend. And I was like, where are you getting this info from?
Yeah, I heard some rumor about like tomorrow is like national shutdown, but I don't know if that's anything. I've heard that a couple times now, so
yeah,
we'll see. It's supposed to be.
See.
My cousin's like married to somebody on the National Guard, and they are the ones saying that.
Yeah, she said her mom has a friend who works for Homeland Security.
Interesting. Well,
yeah, so.
I guess
we will see. She's like, this is also me trying to, trust the word of somebody who works for the Trump administration. I'm not so sure how much I trust it. So, great assault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, by the time this episode's up, everybody will know.
That's
We're
true.
We're going to be the dodos talking about it like it's not happened yet, and everybody's going to be like, oh, guys, keep up. Jesus.
Look, we're realistic about the way this works. Not yet. God. Just get some time travel up in here.
So many things I would do. Anyway. All right, guys. Well, thank you all again for listening. Hope you've been enjoying the show. You know where to find us. Facebook.com/unspoiledpod. Twitter @unspoiledshow. Instagram @unspoiledpodcast. And you can email us at unspoiledpodcast@gmail.com.
Tell people how to get to Mighty Network, because a lot of people don't know what that is.
I can't tell them because they can't get to it unless they're a patron.
Oh, true.
So...
become a patron, and then you get the secret society.
Yeah, it is literally classified as one of the secret networks. So if you aren't sent an invite, you can't get in, and you can't find it. So, yeah, it's very exclusive.
You know what? That's why I became a patron in the first place.
What, for the Mighty Network?
No, to get the patrons only group on Facebook. I wanted to know what was happening in there. And so I was like, I'm going to become a patron.
The best corner of the internet.
Still true.
It's been really nice for me to be able to go on Mighty Networks. Like, I'll still scroll through Facebook, but every time I go on there, I've been getting in fights. So I'm just trying to avoid it. I just get real mad, guys. Like, I have anger issues.
Yeah, you can just walk away.
I walk away so much. I really do, because there are so many fights I could pick. But the ones that I get into take hours, and it's just... It's not worth it.
I don't have that kind of... I don't have that sustainability. Like, it stresses me out, and I'm like, you know what? I don't fucking care about you and your stupid opinion. And I just can't fight with people. I'm a Hufflepuff.
Yeah, so I'm like just trying to I'm just trying to find amusing images of cats.
Yeah.
I'm going onto Reddits about food, and that's pretty much what I've been doing. And bringing all that goodness to the Mighty Network when I can. So yeah, if you're a patron, you'll get the link. If not, sucker.
Well, if not, you better figure out a way to become one.
Do it.
That's all I'm saying.
Patreon.com/unspoiled.
That's right.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week with a new episode. Until then, wash your fucking hands.
Bye.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.